ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are live at Disney MGM in Orlando, Florida.
The PWR presents What If? What if John Cena turned heel? What if China became the first woman world heavyweight champion? What if Owen Hart never passed away? What if Magnum TA never got into a car crash? What if Hulk Hogan stayed with the AWA? What if Shawn Michaels signed with WCW? What if WCW won the Monday Night Wars? What if Vince McMahon's WrestleMania failed? What if...
What's going on there, Reflection Nation? What is going on there to the Vetoites? What is going on to the solitary confinement PWCites? What is going on to all the ites all over the world? Those Droneites, those Israeliites, those Ukrainites, those Iranianites, those big beautiful Billites, all the ites all over the world. The world is fucked up as it is, but anyway, we got you covered here at the PWR Podcast, here at the Hami Media Group at podbeam.com. And you know what? The big beautiful bill, whatever that is, might be signing off right now, but there's a problem right now, Reflectionites, and you notice. The HVAC king of South Florida has a problem with the big beautiful bill. So now he's got to rush over to Washington, D.C. right now and whack some congressmen and whack some senators right now to get some provisions for the HVAC centers in the South Florida area. So this way he can get the money in his pockets tax-free. No doubt about that. But you know what? JB is doing a lot of things. He's whacking off competitions. He's whacking off Colin. He's whacking off everybody to get all the money in South Florida. But hopefully JB will be doing a run-in, but neither here nor there. But it's not about JB. It's not about the big beautiful bill. It's all about changing the course of wrestling history. Welcome to the PWR Podcast here at the Hami Media Group at podbeam.com. And I will introduce myself in just a few seconds. I am the studious one. I am the affluent one. But most importantly, I am the glorious one. The only objective man in this IWC, YWC, PWC punditry. The only objective man in Washington, D.C., in the Twitterverse, in the liberal states, in the conservative states. The only objective man in this hemisphere, on this planet Earth, if you will, Reflectionites. The only objective man, the Professor Chabelle Cruz. And I'm not here alone. No. I'm here with my brother from another mother, the conservative liberal, the liberal conservative, dumb doing idiot son, and the same motherfucker that every time I'm doing introductions, he's moving, he's wiggling his chairs, he's picking up shit, he's dropping shit. I'm hearing noises, I'm hearing echoes and shit like that. Here's your friend and mine, and the undisputed, undeniable Detroit Rock City Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world. Tommy Wonder, you're holding it upside down. You need the
Michigan champion of the world.
Okay, whatever the case may be, but if you hold it the other way, it's the Wonder Championship of the world.
Yeah.
It works
King beef. No wonder. Nope. Awesome wonder needed. Listen, this time I have an excuse.
Okay.
You said, and this is my favorite part of your whole introduction, I'm going to introduce myself in a few seconds. I'm the glorious one. That was the quickest few seconds ever. I thought I had time, so I moved around a bit.
But again, neither here nor there. It is actually, we're recording this, Reflectionites. It is the 4th of July weekend, and it will be a weekend. It's a birthday weekend. Happy early birthday to TW, who's celebrating number 71 right now. Happy 71st birthday, TW.
First of all, it would be 70 Wonder if you weren't full of shit. But I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 52. I believe Taylor Swift wrote that song. But listen, let me tell everyone listening at home, all 6 of you. I felt like mentally, I still feel like a kid. Physically, I felt fine. I was in the best shape of my life at 40, and then I surpassed that 2.5 years ago, or no, 2 years ago. But I will tell you, I hit the wall at 49 and a half. It's been all downhill since there physically. Some hurts every day. I saw the show.
Wait, is that the warning sign for me? Because I got one more year before I hit 49.
49 and a half. It just came crashing down like Hulkamania, dude. It was brutal. And I'm like, what is happening to me? It doesn't stop. One thing stops hurting, another thing starts hurting. But the late, great George Segal said on Just Shoot Me, if I ever woke up and something didn't hurt, I would think I was dead. And that's where I'm at now, and I've been there since at least 49 and a half. But it's too bad. You know, the good thing is, since JB's out whacking Colin, that means when he's not whacking Colin, maybe him and Colin will be on the show, and we'll have a 4-man panel.
All right. Well, you know, that's a lot of whacking. I don't want to be a part of that whacking conglomerate, if you will, TW. But neither here nor there.
I have a funny story.
Okay, go ahead.
So way back in March or April or May, I can't remember. I
pre-ordered. Is this a whacking story?
No.
Oh, okay. Thank God.
I pre-ordered the Target Legends exclusive Ultimate Edition Hulk Hogan figure. And I did it because I ordered my good man Jeff Kavanaugh, formerly of Impact Wrestling. I ordered him these 3 flavored spreads. They're like a candy spread. I don't know if it's in place of jelly. I don't know if you put it with peanut butter. His podcast his YouTube is Junk Food Jeff. He always talks about weird foods. He has a Pringles collection from hell that makes this wrestling collection look minuscule. So to get free shipping, to get his 3 little spread deals, I pre-ordered that Hulk Hogan figure. And there's this app called Shop where you can track all your stuff. And I was like, I've almost bought this Hulk Hogan figure at Target more than once, and I'm like, I don't want it. I don't need it. I got to scale back. But it's a Legends, and I have every Legend so far except for the regular Yokozuna, but I do have the Chase. So I'm like, I got to get it. But let me make sure of something real quick. So I go and I check my Target account because I was going to buy it online, see if it was cheaper, because sometimes that happens. And I looked at my past history, and it not only said I bought the Hulk Hogan figure already, it said it was delivered. So I wrote them a letter saying, hold up, that was a pre-order that's just now hitting stores now, but it says delivered in here, but you guys delivered the spreads, but not the Hogan figure because it wasn't out yet. They responded with the usual, we have received your inquiry, we'll return your text at the earliest convenience. So last Monday, I get a text saying, your figure has shipped. And I go, oops, thinking the pre-order finally shipped because it's not unusual for them to hit the store before the guy that pre-ordered it gets them. And if you listen to the major podcast, you'll understand that is a very common thing. Major action figure podcast, whatever the hell they're called, Cardona.
Okay.
The next day it shows up at my house. It's here.
Nice.
It's right here.
Cool.
So I come down here in my room, and in front of some of these figures is this throwback Jericho and this throwback CM Punk. So
cool.
When I came down here to put this figure in to where it goes, I had to rearrange stuff so all the Legends were together, all the Monday Night Wars were together, and all the regulars. When I moved CM Punk, what was behind CM Punk?
Hulk Hogan.
This Hulk Hogan figure. So it really did get delivered in May. I already had it, and now I have 2. And the best thing about that email is it said, your replacement has been shipped. You were not charged.
Nice. So you got a freebie.
I got 2 Hogans for the price of 1.
Very good. See what happens? The power of the emails work, Reflectionites. I do that all the time. I'm a Prime member. I'm an Amazon Prime member. So sometimes I get a good credit, complaining about deliveries not being at my doorstep, at my address, and all that stuff. So it works both ways. So get refunds and credits via Amazon Prime and via, the toy collectibles, if you will. But anyway, neither here nor there.
I got one more thing I want to do before you start.
We got to get into the show, man.
I know. It's going to be a quick one. Don't worry.
Okay.
Everyone, all 6 of you that listen to this think that I just shit all over
it. It is 12. Get it right.
So now I'm going to say something that's going to just stop the presses. I have 2 bones to pick with the WWE.
Not one, but two.
First and foremost,
Mm-hmm.
how is it out of nowhere the WWE has turned into AEW and there's 72 guys injured right now? Dominic, Liv, Grande Americano, Chad Gable, they're all hurt, all four of them. And so are other people already. Some just came back. It used to be every Wednesday you'd see someone get hurt on AEW. Now it's WWE guys get hurt.
You know why they're hurt? You know why they're hurt? There's no house shows. Because they want the money for the tours.
So basically, there's still house shows, but they're not every night like they
limited.
Yeah. So that's bone number one.
Mm-hmm.
Set it back. And if Sami Zayn didn't break his spine on that plancha off the ramp to him and Braun Breaker, he's the luckiest guy on the planet. His lower back landed right on that partition bar.
Mm-hmm.
Second, my favorite moment of all time in WrestleMania is what? Do you remember?
The Hardys coming back.
Nope. That's good. That's top three.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Hardys.
The Warrior.
The Warrior. Okay. Why can't people do run-ins like that anymore? They played the Warriors music. That's fine. It was a fucking football field. He had to run 3 minutes, so you had to play the music to get his attention. My bone is WWE has intervened. They do it awesome, by the way. It all makes sense when they have the run-ins. During the CM Punk and John Cena match, why in the fuck does Penta come out to his full entrance, including the dance, if he's coming out there to make a save? Just run your silly ass to the ring, do your spots, get the fuck out of there. Stop doing your gimmick if you're supposedly urgently
because he saw Jeff Hardy do that in AEW where he danced for about 5 minutes before he did that.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
It's idiotic. And if Vince was there, it would never happen. He would have been like, hey, dummy, just run to the ring, do your dance afterwards. But he come out and walk. He did the damn Thriller video. It was terrible.
It was funny.
But I think I figured out the problem.
What's the problem?
He's from AEW. He's got to unlearn it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It always has got to come back to those three letters. But anyway, can we do the show? Can we change the course of wrestling history for the better, or maybe for the worse? It's going to be this is one reflection. Truth be told, this is going to be one of the hardest what ifs because a lot of hindsight comes into fruition. Dirty Dom, no, that's Eddie Guerrero.
That's funny.
Hey, it looks like father, like son. But anyway, neither here nor there. But this is going to be a very hard what if edition reflectionize on the PWR podcast here at the Hami Media Group at Podbean.com because we're changing TW. We're literally really going to change wrestling history, the trajectory of wrestling history. We don't even know if what is going to happen with this scenario would even coincide with crossover mainstream success because of one person. And the dichotomies of this. Reflectionites, we're going to change the course of wrestling history in a what-if special. What if Sting jumped to the WWE in 1994 TW? TW, are you ready for this? Because this is one of the hardest what-ifs that we'll probably ever do. Because, again, I know for TW Reflectionites, he's going to give me everything he's going to remember from NWO Sting, Crow Sting, and all that stuff. I'm going to have to try to change him back to the Surfer Sting, the blonde Sting, maybe even the brown hair Surfer Sting, but neither here nor there. But again, there's a lot of parallels, TW, with this because, the biggest question, and TW, you don't have to book it. The biggest question is, Hulkamania came to WCW in 1994. They made it a big fucking deal. Eric Bischoff, the coup of coups, he convinced Hulk Hogan to come back to professional wrestling and to come back to the competition against Vince McMahon. We all know that part. He got the parade. He got the debut at July's Bash at the Beach. He was the world champion after his first match and all that stuff. Bischoff wanted to ride the Hulkamania train and the money train. But
that isn't true.
Which is true, yeah. But the scenario we're going to do, Reflectionize, is because of with Hogan coming in. That means Sting is laid to the wayside. He was number 2. He was Hogan's buddy lackey, if you will, Reflectionites. And then, don't get me started, Reflectionites, because Macho Man Randy Savage was coming into WCW in 1994 too, right, TW? And Sting turned into number 3 on the pecking order of pillars on the hierarchy, if you will. So our scenario is, if Sting saw the writing on the wall and saw that he was not going to be the top guy in WCW, would he jump? Now, the question, TW, I would say is, this is not about booking. I just want your personal opinion. If Sting saw the writing on the wall, right, and he wanted to jump to WWE because he knew that with Hogan there and Savage coming, he's low on the totem pole. He's not the top guy. He has a chance, if he wanted to jump to WWE for opportunity, because it's not going to be about Sting money. And I'll get into this in a second, because Sting made a lot of guaranteed money in his WCW career. Once it got bought in '88 to even at the end, the Time Warner deal and all that stuff from '88 to 2001, Sting probably made about what? I'd say this. On the low end, TW, $7 million. On the high end, $10 million in his career as a WCW competitor from that '88 to '01. But neither here nor there. I'm just asking you this question in hindsight. If Sting it's not about the money right now. It's just about the say, I want to be the top guy. The only chance he could get to be the top guy is to jump to WWE. Number 1, in your opinion, would it have changed wrestling for the better? And number 2, could Sting be the top guy in WWE? What say you, TW?
I'm pretty sure 94 Warriors nowhere to be found, right?
Nope, nowhere to be found.
So this would have been the absolute perfect storm for Sting to go there. And we know Rey Mysterio, this guy turned into this guy, and then he turned into this guy. I think if he makes the jump, this guy never exists, right?
Right.
Because I think immediately after signing with WWE, this guy goes back to being this guy, because that's who Vince would have wanted. I want the guy. Woo! I want that guy, right? Like he wanted Ray with the mask, even though he wrestled the last few years without it. And no one batted an eye. He's still wearing the mask 4 years later. So it actually even more than that, because he come over before they went out of business, didn't he, Ray?
No, he came after.
Okay, so he came after. So what I think happens is Sting goes there. There's no Warrior. Obviously, there's no Hogan. Brett is kind of coming along, but not. He's gone backwards because he was champ and then he wasn't. So I think Sting comes in. He has that comic book hero look already. I think Vince enhances that, and I think there's never really a need to turn into Crow. However, there's no guarantee it would have worked, right? Because it's 94. We talk about it all the time. The reason he was dark-haired face paint Sting is because he saw the writing on the wall that the 80s neon pink and green was dying. He had to go and be, darker, grittier, whatever, and he did the darker hair. But if it takes off, I think he's larger than life, and I think he's still, obviously he'd be retired, but he'd be the guy that they bring in all the time and talk about like they do Hogan. I think Sting would have surpassed him. But if it didn't work, I don't think Vince gives up on him. And I think the Crow Sting idea was Sting's anyway. So I think he maybe would have tried it.
Technically, it was Scott Hall's idea to give that suggestion to Sting.
Oh, it was?
Yes.
And Scott Hall would have been there to give it to him. So it would have been Razor Ramon. And I think if he goes there, a lot of guys don't leave. But I think possibly Brett does. If Sting goes in 94, Brett leaves. Because for the same scenario, he's the guy who thinks he's the heir apparent, and now you bring in Sting to just surpass him. You already got Luger there, who they're trying to surpass Brett. And then, you know what I mean? And then Sting and Luger would be in WWF what they were in WCW and NWA.
It's funny you say that because, again, I want to harp on what you're saying. In the instance of 1994 TW, because, again, it is not Crow Sting. It's Surfer Sting. It could be the dark hair Surfer Sting, or even if Vince chose him to go bleach blonde again to recapture. This would be probably. This is why I say it's a little bit murky, TW, because Vince McMahon would try to recapture that Hogan blonde, red and yellow kind of thing. So get him blonde hair, bleach his hair blonde, right, and wear like red and yellow tights and shit like that. It's almost kind of like recreating the Hulk Hogan character to a degree, but knowing that he had the Warrior, so he can paint his face and have the red and yellow
He would
colors.
have been Hogan and Warrior combined.
That's what I'm trying to say. He could have been Hogan and Warrior combined in 1994. He didn't even, and again, he's younger than Hogan. He's more, let's say, trustworthy than the Warrior. He will do business the right way, unlike the Warrior, because again, I think Sting is keen for the business, but as long as you respect him, he'll give you all the respect and loyalty back. That's why I'm saying we're creating this scenario reflection. I said, TW, you agree with that? The way the character would look, Vince would say, try to combine the red and yellow symbols, if you will, of Hulk Hogan, but with the war paint, maybe not in the shape of the Warrior, but at least in the constructs, if you will.
He would have had a specific design. It wouldn't have been all over the place. Animal and Hawk and NWA painted their face different a lot.
Mm-hmm.
WWE, it was the same fucking paint. It was the spider and the way Hawk did the one and the other. And they do that for marketing. I think the machine would have got behind it. I think Sting would have probably fought a little to get different colors at least. Because they're not going red and yellow.
Let me just say this to harp on what you're saying. I think Sting would have at least backup with Jim Ross with he dealt with him in the past. So he knows what Sting can offer, and maybe they don't, because you and I can agree with this, right? Vince McMahon sometimes would take an idea from somebody from another organization and kind of like fuck it up because it wasn't his own. So sometimes he tries to, I don't know, I don't want to say the word punish you, but he tries to rib you or tries to make you earn it for some strange reason. Again, neither here nor there, but I'm just saying he never fully respects it because it wasn't his. It wasn't on his TV first and all that stuff. That's why I was just saying, at least he has Jim Cornette and Jim Ross as his backup. Like, yo, Sting knows what he's doing. He knows how to, for the kids, he can create all these, these figures for us, make a lot of money for us, a toy collection, all that stuff. But Vince McMahon desperately would want, like you said, a comic book larger than life character, maybe for the mid-90s, and Sting would probably be the closest thing to it. Again, it's not, Shawn Michaels ain't ready. Diesel is not ready. Sting would be ready for Vince McMahon to be, you want the torch? The torch is there for you. You got to earn it. Agree, disagree, have a different take.
I absolutely agree. I think he would have been built in ready. Like Luger brought in as a bad guy because, to be honest, I don't know that Vince really knew Lex Luger that well. You know what I mean? He knew him. He bumped him. They had talked. Mm-hmm. But Lex didn't have any. He was larger than life as a person, but not as a character. Sting was. Sting was just. He was. And like I said, my only fear is, especially in '94, somehow, some way, he's not called Sting, and which would be dumb, right?
Right.
But they could have tweaked it and called him Stinger, and copyrighted that, and let him keep the Sting one, right? But look what they did.
Or they would, or Vince says, you know what? We'll use your last name, Borden. Down the aisle, Borden. No.
Yeah, no. That's dark.
Okay, I'm just asking.
So he came after the Warrior died, right?
What do you mean?
When did he come to WWE? 2015.
Sting, yeah. After WrestleMania 2014, he came Survivor Series 2014, and then it was building that.
2014, he was off and on for 2 years or 1 year.
Off and on for a year and a half.
Year and a half. Look at all the shit they pumped out for him in that year and a half. They would have done 10 times as much in '94. They would have pushed him to the moon.
Well, he was in his prime in '94. He wasn't in his prime in 2014. He was on his last leg.
Look what they did with him in his non-prime. They would have done even more. They did a lot with him.
Right.
They had him wrestle WrestleMania. They had him wrestle Seth Rollins for the world title. They had him be a surprise at whatever, where he was hidden behind that thing to set up the Seth match. They used him a lot when he was older and not as, as limited.
Inducted to the Hall of Fame. I get what you're saying and all that stuff.
94, this dude's through the roof.
All right. Well, with that being said, Reflectionites, it is a good discussion. And I think, TW and I have different variations of what could have happened in the mid-90s for Sting. I don't know if he could be the top guy, but you and I, TW, probably will agree with this. Untapped potential like a motherfucker to be on the top tier and get that torch. There's untapped potential to get the torch because no one really grabbed that WWE torch when Hogan left. Like you said, Bret Hart was given the opportunity. He floundered back and forth. They wanted to give it to HBK, Diesel, and then it took until 1996 when Austin got the torch, and then Validation in 98. So there was plenty of time for Sting to get that torch, hold on to the torch, and really take WWE to maybe another level. Who knows? But anyway, TW, let's try to create a scenario for this, because again, you and I know that in 1994, he is Surfer Sting. The hair right behind me, TW, that was the color in 94. It was a little bit lighter. Maybe it was a lighter.
Yeah,
maybe
frosted tips.
It was a frosty beige, if you will, right, TW? We can say that. But he was still colorful and all that stuff. He still was jovial. He was still screaming to the moon, howling at the moon, and all that stuff. So with that being said, with Hulkamania making his debut in July of 1994, I think, TW, the biggest question is, how would TW, it's all you, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'll just correct you on logistics of the Sting character just in case. He wasn't the Crow until 1996. So everything before that, he is Surfer Sting for your logistics. So how would TW, what would be the greatest situation for Sting to debut? Or how?
So for me, I don't even remember who the top heels were in 94. Shawn was the undercard. Mr. Perfect was kind of still the undercard, I think. So, and Razor was a babyface, or at least about to be. Diesel was Shawn's bodyguard, right?
Yeah.
Still,
but then he would kind of go away and be his own man, the tweener babyface.
But as a babyface. So I don't even know who the top heels are in 94. So it wouldn't be hard.
Technically, the top heel is Yokozuna in 1994.
That would have been tough for Sting, because that's a tough match. Like, Bret got good stuff out of him. But so at the end of the day, I think you bring him in the 80s way. I think you run vignettes. You get people excited for him. And then you have him come out and just squash the Steve Lombardis and all that, so that everyone knows his moveset. And then he works his way up. Definitely IC title run first, because you gotta remember. I used to deny this, but
I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to clarify something. You say run vignettes. I got you with that. I'm just asking you, so you want him to debut on Raw? Do you want him to debut on a pay-per-view? What say you, TW?
Yeah, on Raw. Every week you say he's coming, and then maybe he debuts on a pay-per-view in your house or something, but in a squash match.
No. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just wanted to clarify what you want.
I'm assuming. I forget Superstars and Challenge are gone by 94. But
it's not as important.
Right.
Raw is the key show.
So, but you just want to introduce him, and the reason you have those squash matches is so that he does the Scorpion Death Drop. He does the Sharpshooter. He does the Stinger Splash. He does the Press Slam, and then all that stuff. So you have him do all that stuff so that when he finally does have a match, and I think the best way to do it, we'll just say, let's say he comes in right after WrestleMania, right? Does some vignettes in end of March, early April, does the In Your House pay-per-view in May, and then you have that guy win the 1994 King of the Ring. You come in an unknown, have him, no matter who because you want him to be the top guy. And what better way than he comes in and no one's like, all right, we don't really know who this guy is. Beats Bret with a small package, beats Razor with a roll-up, and then beats whoever clean in the finish to become the king. The Sting of the Ring. Bam! Look at that. I gave him a whole new nickname. and I think it's from there he's off to the races. Then, because by then you're going to know if the people are behind him or not. And what I was starting to say is I used to disagree with this, but the more honest I am with myself, there was a lot of guys that came to WWE from NWA and WCW that the WWE audience did not know who the fuck they were. So there's no guarantee they know. I think now that's not the case because of the internet. But pre-internet, you don't necessarily know who Vader is when he first comes there. There are a handful of people that do. The tape traders, your favorite people. There's people like that, or people that just watched both. But a lot of these.
But I would say this, TW. If it's 94, at least the tape traders are getting louder. The hardcore wrestling fans are getting louder to a degree and all that stuff. And then I think people will say, well, this is Sting. And then, again, pomp and circumstances, the vignettes, I'm with you and all that stuff. I just think is We just have to pick the right scenario for the debut and the right situation for the debut.
Who won 94's King of the Ring?
Owen Hart.
I thought it was Owen. So, you know, you set Owen back a little bit. Maybe it saves his life. Maybe he doesn't go on to become the Blue Blazer.
Hey, it is what it is. So I'll go with, I like what you did there. Sting of the Ring. I can't top that. I'm popping for Sting of the Ring. You should actually, you know, trademark that shit and hashtag it.
Hey, Ray, if you actually listen to this, you should make a picture of Sting with the King of the Ring shit on for one of the thumbnail pictures.
There you go. So for me, I'm thinking it from like this way. Can Vince McMahon be petty TW against WCW, against Ted Turner? You bet your ass I think Vince McMahon could be as petty. I'm not saying it because Hogan got the parade, right? Hogan got the first TV appearance on Clash of the Champions to set up, saying, I want the winner of Sting and Sting of Flair for Bash at the Beach. Hogan made his mark. Again, you don't need vignettes for Hogan. We understand that because he's a mainstream pop superstar and all that stuff. But you're right. Maybe some people don't know. The WWE universe doesn't know who Sting is and all that stuff. But Vince McMahon has to choose the way to debut him and make him be that, you know, top tier guy. Make him that, you know, we want to give him the torch and all that stuff. So I'm not saying give him a parade. I'm saying more in long lines, not even maybe one vignette, but a vignette where you don't even see his face. Maybe you see like the colors. Maybe you see the Sting, you know, the scorpion symbol on his tights and shit like that, TW, because you don't want to see the face just yet. But you know somebody big is coming. He can come after WrestleMania, or we could do the after WrestleMania shit with the vignettes like that, and then debut. I like your King of the Ring. I like your King. I would rather have him debut at King of the Ring with the Sting of the Ring and do all that bullshit, but not be in the fight just yet. I just want people to. You pay $39.95 to know there's a debut happening and Sting is coming out, and you do it like that. That's just me. You kind of tease, not the face. You just get the symbol out. You know, change the symbol around. You put the Sting letters in the scorpion, if you will, TW. But with the video vignettes, but no facials, you don't see the faces, you don't see nothing. You think that would work? Do you think that would fly? What say you?
It would, but you're not rocketing him to the top right away. Remember, we're doing this because there's nobody on top. It's a free for all. So if you forget have him squash match it in your house. Let's just have him debut at King of the Ring. That does two things.
Okay.
Once he wins it, people are going to be like, holy shit, that guy won it. That was his first night in WWE. And the second thing is, it protects everybody he beats because they didn't have time to scout him. They didn't know who he was and when he got there. So Brett getting surprised by a roll-up, Razor getting surprised by a small package, and then Owen just getting pinned and tapping out to the Scorpion Deathlock. It would have been a beautiful thing. Owen would be mad at him. Razor would be mad at him. Brett would be mad at him. And then, of course, you inevitably have the Scorpion Deathlock versus Sharpshooter feud. You might even make Bret Hart a bad guy again sooner because of that move and because of him getting beat by Sting, you know, or maybe Bret's the finish, the final. Bret versus Sting in the final, and he beats him with a small package.
Again, the possibilities technically are there, TW. I get what you're going with that. I'm just saying it's like the way we have to present Sting, you just want him to that's a great rocket ship to win the King of the Ring. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, but think about we can think of scenarios. You just thought of the scenario with Bret Hart. It's Sharpshooter versus the Scorpion Deathlock. We got that part out there. We have to remember there's HBK. Sting against HBK would be a dream match in 1994 going into 95. You got Sting going up against the monster Kevin Nash if you wanted to have him just be straight heel and all that. Well, okay. Big Daddy Cool Diesel, if you will, Reflectionize. You don't have to make Diesel the good guy just yet. You can make him the bad guy and Sting can, go against the monster like that. You got Razor Ramon, like you said. You got the 1, 2, 3 kid.
Was Kane there yet?
Kane wasn't there just yet. So, again,
Sting versus Kane would have been good.
Or, again, you got The Undertaker. You could do Sting against The Undertaker, but I think the funny thing, TW, is like, we wanted Sting. We want Crow Sting against The Undertaker. That was technically the dream match. So, TW, Could you believe, or could you be invested with Surfer Sting against the Undertaker just on a matter of respect, on a matter of, or even because one of them has got to be the heel. So would it be Sting be the heel against the Undertaker?
No, it's Undertaker.
Oh, okay. How would you do that? How would you make it make money?
Undertaker hangs his ass or something. Motherfucker bras.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Everybody has to turn heel because of your favorite Sting.
If you want him to be the next Hulk Hogan, he has to be a good guy.
I'm just saying. It's just funny. I'm just saying. Again, we know the history of everybody here. TW. That's the thing. That makes it so difficult to kind of like. Certain people will go by the wayside. You're right. Owen Hart wouldn't be the king of the ring in your scenario. Bret Hart probably won't be a 5-time champion.
Bret leaves. I think Bret goes to WCW sooner.
You mean like 95 he would leave?
Yep.
Wow, that's some big shit.
Unless Sting and Bret is lighting the world on fire and it makes sense to stay.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, I think the way I would do it after the debut, because again, I don't want him to win the title just yet. I want him to win the 95 Royal Rumble to get the main event in 95.
Well, yeah, you win King of the Ring. That doesn't give you a title shot at SummerSlam. Then at SummerSlam, he fights whoever he beat in the finals of the King of the Ring, because whether it's Bret he rolled up, or Razor he rolled up, or Owen he tapped, that kick takes him into SummerSlam. Survivor Series, he's on a team with Bret and Razor against Owen and somebody else. And then he wins the Royal Rumble, and now 1 year in the business, he gets his title shot at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
1 year in the company, not the business.
No, I get what you're going with that. And again, I think a Sting main event in 1995 WrestleMania 11, which is deemed the worst WrestleMania right in the history of WWE WrestleMania.
What's the name for that?
LT against Bam Bam.
Oof. That's a good match, though. I still think it's a good match.
It's a good match, but it's still a bad main event. It's still a bad main event.
Have Sting versus Bam Bam, but who was world champion in '94?
Diesel.
Sting versus Diesel. Boom, take the belt.
He wins the 95 Royal Rumble, and then Diesel is the bad guy still. Maybe he's still with HBK in his clique, if you would. I think, TW, that's actually interesting, because we could actually set up a rivalry for Sting, because Sting either being the teammates with maybe Razor Ramon or maybe Bret Hart, he could actually feud with the clique. Maybe you could add members to the clique. You could actually do the Wolfpack, if you will. You could do Shawn Michaels. You could do Diesel. Maybe you could add the Kid to take the bumps and take the falls. What say you, TW? Could Sting like?
Don't forget Triple H.
Triple H starts in 1995, but yeah, you're right. He could thwart that gauntlet, if you will, TW.
So let me get it straight. Diesel won the world title before Shawn?
Yes, he did.
Wow.
Because
I always felt like Bret and Shawn were neck and neck. But Bret's 92, Shawn's not till 95?
96.
96.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Bret was re-signed he fucking foreclosed on the house to re-sign Bret.
Yeah, that 20-year deal that never came to fruition and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But Vince McMahon just wanted other people at top spot. That's why Bret never got the torch, if you will, TW. That's why Diesel got the torch for a second. That's why they wanted Shawn Michaels to be pushed to the moon, if you will. That's where the quandary comes in, and that's where Sting comes in and swoops in that torch, if you will, TW, or takes that number one spot, or at least is guaranteed the main event spot, all the time because of his name and his street cred. And let's not forget, TW, could you recapture the magic of Sting versus Lex Luger? Because he doesn't go back to WCW until 1995. So could you do a program? Not the USA Lex Luger. Maybe you can actually get Lex Luger to go heel and be comfortable the way he is against Sting. No?
I think Sting and Luger are a team. I think if anyone's going bad guy, it's Bret. And you put Lex out there in the gear that he had, and then you have Sting wear the fucking 1992 red, white, and blue. It's on. Mm-hmm. It's Lex and Bulldog without needing a Bulldog and making them all US. So I think they're buddies. And that's what I think the Survivor Series team is: Sting, Lex, Bret, and Razor. Against Diesel, Shawn, and whoever else. That would be your main event.
Jeff Jarrett and Yokozuna or something like that.
Jeff Jarrett and Owen.
Yeah, you could do that. That again, the possibilities are endless for Sting. Reflectionize. So I guess we'll go into a parallel, TW, because again, I'll try to create the
When
logistics.
does Edge get there? 96?
98.
No.
Yes.
Dude, I met Edge in 94, 95. There's no way it was 3
He was
years.
He was Damian Stryker in WCW Orlando in 95 and 96, respectively.
That's nuts. 98.
I'm just giving you the logistics. He did not.
When did The Rock get there?
Rock was in the developmentals of even WWE and Memphis in 1996.
Yeah, 96. He was at WrestleMania 13. I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Because Edge and Rock and D'Lo were on a BCW show while all three were WWE guys.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
it was Rock. It was Nation of Domination Rock. It wasn't Rocky Maivia.
yeah. But let's focus on Sting, TW. But
Just trying to figure out who else he could wrestle, some bitch.
I understand that. I understand that. But I'm just trying to ask you this question because, again, it's paramount to the history game-changing thing. Because, again, from the WCW side and basically from the Monday Night Wars perspective, TW, Sting was a catalyst against the NWO in 1996. So the thing that's going to make it interesting here for Sting, who already jumped, he needs to be a catalyst of a certain scenario. Would it be a takeover? Could you do a takeover scenario? Could you do a corporation scenario in WWE? What say you, TW? Because again, if we have Sting being the flag bearer, then Austin 316 does not come into fruition because again, he's not important. He's the ringmaster. He's just Steve Austin in Vince McMahon's eyes because I got Sting. I got my number one guy, and I'll ride him like I rode Hulk Hogan in the 80s. What's the ATW about that scenario?
I disagree. I think, there you go. We forget about I think Austin still does exactly what he does, even though, because he's on the undercard when he's doing it anyway. And then finally, was it 95 King of the Ring he won?
96.
96. So 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
All you need to know, another version of that is Cody Rhodes has been the top guy for the last fucking 3 years, but LA Knight still got over the same way Austin was getting over underneath, and then now he's a peer to Cody, on different. Well, no, I guess they're on the same show now, but yeah, that's awesome. That takes less pressure off Austin to have to get over because Sting's up there getting over, and then Austin works his way up and gives him plenty of time to feud with Brett because Sting's going to be wrestling other guys, right? Mm-hmm. And then maybe as a bad guy, Austin and Sting happen until Austin gets the flip at WrestleMania 13 in 96, and then Sting and Austin are the bosom buddies because Lex is gone, so you got to give him a new buddy. Mm-hmm. And it's them two against the corporation, them two against anything Vince. You got some. I think the only real faction back then was the $1 Million Corporation, right? $1 million. That's it. And that was Bam Bam, Tatanka eventually, Nikolai. So that wasn't a very strong faction.
Tama Mustafa.
And DiBiase. DiBiase, or I mean, not DiBiase, him, but Austin. Austin was the ringmaster with DiBiase. He had the $1 million belt and the sleeper. Mm-hmm. Yeah. $1 Million Dream.
And we can't forget Psycho Sid was there, so Sting could actually go against Psycho Sid during those points and during the house shows or even Raws and shit like that.
Jake was still there too, wasn't he?
Who?
Jake.
Wait.
No, Jake was with Sid when he was Sid Justice.
Jake was gone in 93, 94, 95. He came back in 96.
It was Sid and Macho Man versus Jake and somebody else after that wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Sid was Sid Justice. He wasn't Sid Vicious.
Right. So, there is a opportunity, if you will, TW, for Sting against Psycho Sid. So that could work it in there. So let me ask you this. I'm going to pull a curveball here, TW, because one of the recent what ifs we did, right? We did a Bret Hart jump to WCW, right? Mm-hmm. And you said something very interesting because you felt like Bret Hart could come back bigger to WWE after having a 2-year run in WCW. You said this, so I'm just quoting you verbatim. So I'm going to ask you the same question here for the Sting thing. If Sting jumps in 1994 like we're doing, right? Does he do a 2 or 3 year deal? And then could he come back to WCW with more money in his pocket and a bigger scenario to come back to? Because then he would be the catalyst to go against the NWO. He'd be probably that big fish coming back, if you will. So what's AETW?
But he'd almost be in a position to be the third member of the NWO because he would have been a WWE guy coming back to WCW.
Okay. So my question:
if Sting goes there and everything goes great, it's a Cody Rhodes. He's never leaving. He's never leaving once he gets there. The difference being, Cody is a wrestling guy, born into it through and through. That's the end game. Sting, on the other hand, finds out about wrestling as a way to make money. So he doesn't have that loyalty to being a kid wanting to be a WWE guy. If anything, he would have loyalty to the WCW. So, but I don't think Vince lets him go if he's bigger. I would use Lex as the example of when Lex came back, nobody really cared. You know what I mean? Like, it took a minute. Like, he wasn't super over when he came back. Like, for example, when Cody came out against Seth, the roof blew off the place. Do I think that would happen with Sting? Possibly, but it didn't happen with Lex. People looked more confused that Lex was there than happy about it.
Confused was a good thing.
Right.
Bewildered was a good thing.
Especially in that little era. That era was people don't realize that's what fucking started the Monday Night Wars. It wasn't the NWO. That happened during the Monday Night Wars. Lex was the first shot. Because he was on Raw and walked out on fucking Nitro. And same thing with Rick Rude. Rick Rude did it right after the Brett Screw drop. But at the end of the day, this is going to sound like I'm insulting Southern people again, but
go ahead, do it.
Those Southern wrestling fans aren't WWE fans. They're just, they were like, oh, I remember this guy. They're just, oh, shucks. Whereas WWE were like, what the fuck? He's back. Yeah. Let me buy his foam finger. You know what I mean? They're just, and I'm not even, right now, I still think the WWE fan is the most passionate fan there is, especially these fucking international shows where these people don't sit down for the entire night, let alone match. But AEW fans are pretty good. I would say they're better than WCW fans. And they're all over. They're not just Southern fans. They're world fans. And so, but WCW fans, they just didn't have the same. Remember when Steamboat came out and he took the fucking dragon head off and I was like, oh my goodness, that's Ricky Steamboat. That's great. But if it would have been a Sting, you know what I mean? But they just don't have that same reaction to stuff that the kids and the women and the dads and WWF audiences have.
I hear you, but I think it's a little bit of revisionist history of the impact that it has. I think
gave you examples of the shit.
No, but I think you're undermining even the Southern fans and their passion too. They did have passion. The passion is.
It died with Dusty.
I don't know. Again, it's just subjective between both of us with the passion, because there is always passion if you know what's going to happen within a certain scenario. But
question,
I almost forgot. Go ahead. Go ahead with the question.
More passionate fans. WCW or world class?
Am I comparing the Sportatorium to WCW fans? Again, that's the Southern fans. I think, well, the Sportatorium went crazy for the Von Erichs. They went gaga.
Wet their panties, dude.
Right.
They were off the charts, nuts for all of that.
Yeah.
And some WCW crowds were, but not WCW Saturday Night.
No, they were in center. They were in center stage all the time. So it is what it is on that.
But I'm telling you, that Clash of Champions where Steamboat came out with that damn dragon head, nobody gave a fuck that it was him when he took it off.
He got a pop. He did get a pop.
They go, ooh, I remember this guy.
But let's go back to the Sting thing, because I almost forgot somebody that if he was still there in 1996, TW, there is a dream match that could happen under the Vince McMahon umbrella. You know who that is?
Who?
Your favorite too. The Ultimate Warrior.
I just said, was he around?
In 96 he was. He came back. So my question to you, TW, for the scenario of maybe, do you do the dream match or do you do the Blade Runners reunion? Well, no one would know the Blade Runners reunion even for WWE passionate fans. So how would you do the Sting versus Ultimate Warrior dream match scenario, TW?
Well, part of me thinks if Sting is a success, half the reason they brought Warrior back was desperation. They wouldn't need to.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would have burned the bridge enough that they didn't care. But if he was willing to come back as a heel and have face paint versus face paint, that would have made money. That would have been one hell of a WrestleMania poster. Sting versus Ultimate Warrior.
Could have been. And you want Ultimate Warrior to be the heel, maybe attack him, be one of those I don't want to use that Black Scorpion kind of angle where I'm from your past, we had history and all that stuff. You could actually reignite a Black Scorpion-esque. I'm not saying do it, TW. I'm just saying a blast from the past, someone that Sting knows, and then of course you need Vince McMahon to give the fans knowledge and reason why this should matter, because that is from his past. You did not know.
They would have showed pictures of them working out, all those personal photos, and you could have Warrior coming back saying, I was this close to signing to come back, and they signed you instead, and they shut me out, but not shut me out no more. Like, that would be the reason he'd be a heel, is he's mad that Warrior got bumped for Sting to take his spot. I'm the larger-than-life superhero. I'm the god. These people praise me, not you, and then tell fans you fucking suck. Just something like that.
It's a very interesting scenario, because I would agree with you, because I think Ultimate Warrior would be a better heel. Like you said, with Firepower, the movie we did, even though, again, one of the least popular kind of shows we do is the movies. But anyway, neither here nor there. You miss great movies, Reflection. But again, I digress. But TW, you even said it yourself. The way the Ultimate Warrior presented himself in Firepower, in that kind of context, with no emotion, not even screaming, just looking like psychotic and shit, could work against Sting, being that blast from the past. He doesn't have to scream. He doesn't have to snort. He could just do his moves.
And it's the perfect chance to make him not run, to not shake the ropes, to not do the stuff that made people like him. He could just walk out cocky, and you put DiBiase with him or someone that clearly he's a bad guy.
And in my humble opinion, I don't know if you'll agree with this, TW, Ultimate Warrior being the man who defeated who defeated Hulk Hogan clean at WrestleMania 6, Sting, this is his Andre. Go with me, follow me here, because again, maybe during the weeks of Raw, maybe a King of the Ring, maybe a SummerSlam or Survivor Series, like you said, he has the mental edge over Sting. And then you're trying to give Sting over the hump. Ultimate Warrior for Sting is his Andre the Giant. And you thwart him maybe at a WrestleMania or maybe at a SummerSlam. Do you agree with that assessment, or do you have a different plan of attack?
You already blew Hogan Flair. You can't blow Warrior Sting at WrestleMania.
I agree with that. I'm just saying.
Money.
No,
and you have Sting beat him, and you have Warrior get up, look at him, because Warrior was all about honor and all that, and he can look at him and go, "You've earned my respect." Shake his hand, and now it's Warrior and Sting together as good guys. All
right. So let's go into the next scenario of Sting being in the WWE after he jumped, TW, and we're gonna use the same sentiment like Undertaker, right? Undertaker knew that he couldn't have a 30-year career without, tweaking his character, changing it a bit. So what say you, TW? Again, the Crow Sting, it's up to you, but how does Sting change his gimmick, change his persona for the times? Again, you got the Attitude Era, you got, Cable, the explosion of Cable and all that stuff, where you could curse a little bit, you could say ass and all that stuff. What say you, TW? How do you change or have Sting progress with the times, if you know what I'm saying?
Flip the script. Warrior comes back with pomp and circumstance. And as a shot to Turner, they bring him in a parade. And then he comes out and says, I want the winner of Sting versus Brett or whatever, right?
Okay.
And then Sting's getting quieter and quieter, feeling like Warrior is taking his thunder, his shine. And then one day Sting just starts growing his hair out, whatever, and does the Sting Crow because he's turning dark because he's mad at the Ultimate Warrior's light.
So then you want Sting to be heelish?
if you want him to turn into the Crow, you got to make him want to be angry. And Warrior took his, or you do the same thing. Warrior's the bad guy. They shake hands, become buddies, and then as they're teaming, Warrior steals the spotlight. Warrior gets the pin.
Or just betrays him outright and then makes Sting like go into a dark space and into a dark corner and kind of like, you know, rethink or refocus his character and his way of looking at the business, if you will. Right?
Do you want him to be a good guy no matter what?
Do I want him to be a good guy no matter what?
Yeah. I'm making the Dark Sting a bad guy.
Well, I'm going with the logistics, TW, because every time that, you know, they've attempted, and this is WCW and this is TNA, when you attempted to make Sting a bad guy, the wrestling fans just never gravitated. They just didn't believe Sting would be a bad guy. Even though we know in his UWF days, he was a bad guy. He was great at being a bad guy and all that stuff. But when he just was the good guy, the fans just was not going to resonate booing him. They just couldn't accept it. I just think it's hard to do that. Could he be darker? Yeah, you could be darker like Undertaker, and Undertaker was cheered for being and revered for being the bad, for being darker and stuff like that. So that's the way I look at it. I would look at it from being like betrayed by somebody that makes him just go into a dark corner and just like refocus himself and just change his image to like keep up with times and stuff like that. That's just the way I look at it.
How did he do in WCW? Didn't he get screwed or something? He got hurt.
No, he felt cheated by WCW because they didn't trust him. Yeah. Luger said, "I don't trust you," even though Sting gave Luger a million chances to redeem himself. Sting could never get that second chance because no one would accept it, and Sting just said, "Fuck you." No terms, but you know, he just said, "Fuck you" to everybody, "Fuck you" to WCW, and then he just turned into the Dark Sting and all that stuff. But he felt betrayed. So you can still feel betrayed in WWE. It just depends who betrays you. But the Warrior kind of like offers that betrayal. Like you said, he could come in with a lot of pomp and circumstances. He could come in with like, oh, wait, they give him all this stuff. And then he's like, wait, I got to take a step back. That could work that way too. That's just my humble opinion.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I like Warrior coming in as a bad guy because he's mad that Sting stole the spot. Sting beats him. They become friends again because he respects Sting now. Now, Sting is getting put in the shadows because the Warrior's being cheered again, and he's getting the pins, and he's doing this, and Sting kind of just drifts off, and then Sting turns on the Warrior with the regular Sting face paint, and the next time you see him, he's got the Crow paint because he's gone dark. And the good reason to grow his hair out is once he's teaming with Warrior, if you do it long enough, he's growing his hair out so that he's looking more like the Warrior because the Warrior has long hair. So it turns into a single white female situation.
Who's the single white female?
Sting. He's trying to look like the Warrior.
Oh, God. You remember what happens? She dies at the end, but neither here nor there.
I've never seen it.
I did. But neither here nor there. But here's another question, TW, because, again, there's really nothing left because all we can talk about right now is I think you and I agree. If this works, he's the man. He could be with the WWE. He's like Undertaker. He could be there for like 20, 30 years. Legends deal, Hall of Fame. You know, once he retires, he's already in the Hall of Fame. You know,
there's no undefeated career in AEW nonsense. There's no teaming with fucking Timmy Taylor from the Fairly Odd Parents. There's no affiliation with Dixie Carter. Maybe TNA doesn't even become anything. It goes up. It goes belly up even quicker because Dixie Carter has said they're still around.
No. Dixie Carter said Sting was one of the main reasons why TNA was still afloat because his name and likeness kept it afloat for Spike TV.
But you never know. Sting succeeding in WWE means somebody else has got to go, and that's the Ultimate Warrior could have been TNA's Sting.
That's where my question goes in the end, TW, for the purposes, again, pick your poison, because if Sting is there for the long duration, we got to talk about the 2000s. You got to talk about your Kurt Angles, your Chris Benoit's, your Eddie Guerrero's, your Saturns. You see a lot of 5-star classic bangers with those kind of main events.
Sting against those guys?
Yeah.
They're all midgets to Sting. Those guys had good matches against each other because they were all 5'7". You put them with Sting, it's ugly. Eddie Guerrero and Sting might have had some good stuff. Obviously Benoit.
Well, obviously in the 2000s, he would have to go against the reign of terror of Triple H, but then he would be in his prime to a degree, and Triple H is getting into his prime. So, but at least in that scenario, Sting would not lose. Sting would not lose to Triple H in the early 2000s like he did in 2015. He would get the win at a WrestleMania, right? Now, The Rock. What say you about The Rock?
They would have had some awesome matches for sure.
Would he get the win, or would Rock get the win for the legacy?
Win.
Just a scenario. Remember, Rock.
Not losing to The Rock if he's still there in 2000.
Hold up. The reason I'm asking before we close out, Hogan thought what's best for business was to give The Rock the win at WrestleMania 18.
Hogan was also 58.
I get you, but I'm asking the same scenario. Sting versus The Rock. Would Sting do what's best for business? His legacy is already there. The resume is already there. He doesn't need to beat The Rock. Would he do the business? No.
Sting versus Rock would not be Rock versus Hogan. It would be Austin versus Scott Hall, and Scott Hall lost.
Okay.
Sting's not losing to an up-and-coming Rock when he's still there from 94 and lighting it up.
Okay, I'm just asking because, like I said, in the 2000s, Sting is still Sting, but then The Rock is coming up, being the main eventer himself. That's what I'm asking.
He would do what Austin did when they wanted him to lose to Brock Lesnar. Now, bitch, I'm out. And he'd leave. Do you know how stupid Austin's got to feel about that now after what Brock became? He could have been the fucking catalyst for all of that. Take credit. Once I put him over, he was through the moon, brother. But nope, he's like, fuck you. I'll lose to him, but not on Monday Night Raw cold. So
should we do a what if? What if Austin stayed in the WWE and did the job to Brock Lesnar? Is that what you're saying? For another,
we don't need to do it because Brock would be even bigger than he already is. It just would have been sooner.
I'm just saying. So let's one more quick one, TW, and then we'll get out of here because there's really nothing left. Again, I'm gonna name out some names. Again, with the 2000s and then the 2010s, if you want, Batista, John Cena, maybe even Roman Reigns on the come up. Seth Rollins on the come up. What say you with the Sting scenario there? If he's still there,
I think Seth and Roman Sting's old by then. It does like the stuff he did with Seth was great, but it was nostalgic. It wasn't because he was there. He came there and they put him together. So I think Cena and Batista would have been a great feeder fish. Like if you really want to do with Sting what you did with Hogan, Nash, Yokozuna, Batista, Kane, Undertaker, you have Sting beat these big guys. That was the formula that got Hogan over, and Batista would have been great at that. Randy Orton and Sting would have been good. Austin and Sting, like he would have been getting it a little bit long in the tooth or whatever, but like you said, I think him and especially if he goes dark Sting and eventually becomes the Crow anyway, Sting and Undertaker are inevitably going to be together in one way or another, either the corporate ministry or whatever if Sting does it. But I absolutely think he wins the IC title. I absolutely think he wins the world title. And could you think of a bigger wet dream for all these neckbeards than Sting and Undertaker as tag team champions? They would blow loads for days. And so I think he would have been the Triple Crown, and if the European title was around, he would have been a Grand Slam.
Shit, I can already think of he could be a 3-time tag team champion. One with Lex Luger. Lex would have got the belt there. One with the Ultimate Warrior, just for argument's sake purposes, the Blade Runner reunion that no one would ever know. And then, like you said, the Undertaker. I already think of a 3
and a 4th.
Right? Who?
And a 4th. Brett. Team Scorpion Deathlock. Team Sharpshooter.
Well, you could do that. And with that being said, we close on this What If edition of the PWR podcast here at the Hameen Media Group at podbean.com. And I'm giving TW and JB an early, well, it's more for TW, it's an early birthday gift because with JB whacking people left and right in South Florida and probably North Carolina with Colin and all that stuff, I'm going to give
Definitely
TW... Yeah, that too. I'm giving TW the week off, and we're going to have the week off, and then we'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll go episodic. We'll go with a spotlight. We'll go with the movies. We'll maybe do another What If, but I'll keep you on your toes, Reflectionites. I'll keep you on your toes. So TW, with that being said, happy early birthday, and give out those socials so we can get out of here.
The Pro Wrestling Coalition Network sponsors us at PWC Network at podbean.com. We're also Humming Media Group at podbean.com as well as channelattitude.com for HMG. Our show's on X at PW Reflection. JB is at the P1JB. And then Big Ray is on all the social media platforms at Big Ray Hernandez. Every Wednesday, he's live with the Next Level podcast. You can find me on X and Instagram at TommyWonder19. My Snapchat is #Wonder. Facebook.com/TommyWonder. And then my other X and TikTok are at the Tommy Wonder. And then Big Vito and Noel can be found on TikTok at the Big Vito brand, where the greatest president ever has extended TikTok for another window of opportunity to stick around and sell to an American.
Man, just like wrestling, that's a rib right there. We'll see. We'll wait and see. That's all I'll just say. We'll wait and see. Well, follow my YouTube channel, Reflection. That's where this video will get dropped in a couple of days. That's PWS or PRF on YouTube. And if A-Track Brown gets off his slow ass, it will be on the PWS or YouTube networks. Follow my brothers in arms, A-Track Brown, the dirtiest of the city, at the #8 TRAC Brown. And of course, Billy Ray Valentine at Obi-Wan You Know Me. And of course, my Twitter is PWSO PROF. That's PWSO PROF, PWSO Prof. Maybe you can follow me on the Blue Sky TW, PWSO PROF.bluesky.org. Whatever's the case. Get on Blue Sky TW. You have to do it.
I hear that's terrible. I heard they took a big nosedive. They say it's the most volatile. It's old Twitter. Just angry people on there just being insulting.
That'll get your body juices flowing and all that stuff. Just to argue.
Blue skies for me. They change it to purple skies or something other than blue skies. I'll think about it.
And with that being said, I'm the professor. That's Mr. Wonderful, Dum Dum Doing Idiots on the Iron Stomach One, Dr. Frickenstein, and the undisputed, undeniable Detroit Rock City Universal Heavyweight Champion of the World, Tommy Wonder saying good night, and we'll see you next time here at the PWR podcast at the Humming Media Group at podbean.com. Oh! Whoa!
Stole it. I was going to do that. You did that, so I had to do something.
I know.
Peace.